All right, Mission Impossible 3, let's do this. I'm trying to get through them before tomorrow at 7. All right, so this is J.J. Abrams' first movie. This is the fucking directorial debut of Abrams. I had no idea. Like, I didn't realize how few films he did until I looked and was like, oh my God, he's only done this, Super 8, Star Trek 1 and 2, and Force Awakens. That's it. That's all the movies he's done. That's shocking to me. They have such faith in the guy when he made such... I mean, yes, he worked on Lost, and he worked on, he did Felicity, and he did these kinds of things, but for movies, he really hasn't done much, and that's crazy. But I love all of those. So he's definitely... And this is fantastic. This murders the first two for me. Like, I thought this blew them out of the water. I loved this movie. This held up so damn well. So now Philip Seymour Hoffman, god dang freaking cord, this thing is so touchy lately. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays the villain in this, which at that time I was not used to seeing him in any kind of roles like this. He was like, the gay guy in Boogie Nights, and he was the really weird ass dude in Happiness, and he was like, the like orderly or whatever you want to call him, the nurse in Magnolia, and so I didn't really know him as a villain, and I was really kind of just like, okay, he's great in this. He's cold as shit. Like, he doesn't have an emotion in this movie outside of just pure, like, cold ass villain character, and it works really well. He's so great. Such a shame he had to go the way that he did. Every action sequence in this film is fantastic. I mean, it is so well directed. It is so well done. This opening countdown that plays later in the movie, usually, as I've talked about before, I don't like movies that start at, like, towards the end and work their way forward. But it was like a really tense moment. And then we cut to the dude from Lost, Sawyer, and he's getting killed. And then we go into Ethan, who is trying to live this like really boring life, and he's trying to pretend to be boring. He like studies traffic or something, and he's still a ladies' man. All the girls are like, I'd marry him, and he just seems so happy. He just seems so disconnected from it all. This is like his swan song. I feel like this could have ended it, because it does end very happily, and he's happily married. And in order to bring him back in the franchise, they kind of had to make him a miserable character. So poor that character in this fictional universe having to be dragged back into this shit. We get Greg Grunberg, however you say his name. Of course, a lot of, Abrams brings in his people, Simon Pegg and whatnot. But Grunberg is always in his movies. And he plays Snap Wexley in the... Force Awakens, and he's always with him. So it's cool to see him here. We get a young Aaron Paul before Breaking Bad, and Ving Rhames is back, third film in a row, and Ving Rhames was fucking hilarious in this movie. So much of his like little jokes and whatnot, and Simon Pegg's was funny as well, but Rhames really killed it on the comedy in this film, and the chemistry between him and Ethan was great. All of the stuff in this, just the team chemistry, everything was working. I seriously have like nothing negative to say about this movie. It is fucking fantastic. I just was surprised watching it, like, wow, this is so good. So he goes behind his fiance's back, and accepts this mission because he wants to pull out Keri Russell, his trainee, that he was the first person that he ever gave his he let her go out on the field. He gave her the thumbs up, and he felt responsible because she is caught, and so he wants to go get her. And when she dies, you can see like how devastated he is, because he's got a question like, did I put her in the field too soon? Like, he feels responsible. He feels like a father to her. But that whole fucking action sequence where they go in to get her and they're in the building, and then they come out and the helicopter's chasing them through the freaking big windmills, and and she's like in the thing and her head's like going and she's screaming and they're trying to rev up the defibrillator to charge it out of her, and then she's just looking at him and then one of her eyes just go poof, like this little detonation inside of her head, and it's gnarly, man. It's fucking gnarly. And it's so tense. That whole scene is so well done. We also have John Rhys Meyers in here. We've got Billy Crudup. We've got Lawrence Fishburne. As I said, we have Simon Pegg. I thought Lawrence Fishburne stole every scene that he was in. His dialogue is fantastic. That joke he makes about being, eating all the chocolate and getting fat and all that. Unbelievable. Like, he has very little screen time in the movie, but every single second he's just engaging and a blast to watch. He's so masterful in this movie. And I just think that's because he's being directed by J.J. Abrams. Like, Abrams is great with getting actors to act. Like, that is a talent that some directors just don't have, even if they're really good at framing and they're really good at like visuals and they're really good at, whatever. There's someone like George Lucas, of course, is like the perfect example, but there's other directors out there that just don't know how to work with actors very well. Abrams just does. He knows how to get people to give great performances, but he also knows how to capture chemistry. And that is so fully on display here. And that's something he does so damn well in Star Trek and in freaking Super 8 and in Force Awakens, and the chemistry in the Force Awakens between Rey and Finn. And it's all so damn good. He is so damn good at that. Can you tell I liked this movie? I just was so surprised when I was watching this. But anyway, they like that scene when they're in the building after they shoot it up. They have like the turret gun that blows it apart and whatnot, and he's like running through, and then he grabs her and she's like, how many shots do you have left? And he looks in his clip and he's like, I have enough. And he just runs and he jumps out and he like perfectly aims and kills the guy with one shot. And then he's like, now I'm out. The dialogue throughout this entire film is just great. I love everything. Like, I'm just going to I should just be like, everything in this movie is fantastic. The end. Because that's really what it comes down to. But I want to talk about specific scenes, of course. And then, oh man, as I said, that eye scene is just devastating. It is gnarly, man, and his reaction and the way it looks, and then her body laid out on the slab, and then they tell him, like, we have to go tell her parents that she died in an automobile accident. Like, that's the really messed up part of the IMF, is like, they deny that you did anything for them. Like, you're not a hero. Like, you're not doing it to get the credit at all. You're only doing it to protect people. You get nothing really out of it. I don't know how much you get paid, but you get no credit. And if you die, then you just get some chump death. It's not like you were out there trying to save the world and then your parents can be like, my kid died a hero trying to save people. No. My kid just got in a car wreck. Like, that would suck, man. If I was out there trying to save the fucking world, if I was trying to save people and then I got killed and they told my kids, like, oh, he got hit by a truck, they'd be like, oh, that sucks, man. Oh my God, no way. I'm sorry, I couldn't do it. I need the credit. I need the credit. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to put my life on the line. I need people to know I was a hero, that I tried. I need my kids to. And that's just a selfish part of me. I can be honest about it. Like, I want the credit. I do. And then, let's see. And then he has to come home to his wife like nothing happened. Because he wants to hold on to that relationship. He wants to hold on to the marriage. And he can't tell her what's happening. And he just watched someone he loved, a friend of his, die in front of him. And he had this insane mission. And he has to come home and be like, everything's fine. Like, meeting was I'm just tired. And oh my God, I just couldn't. I'd be like, this is what happened. I was in a fucking helicopter and I jumped out and I had one bullet. And yeah, I'm a attention whore, I guess. That's why I do a YouTube channel, right? I'm an attention whore. What can I say? And this film just humanizes Ethan Hunt again. Like, the first one keeps him pretty human. The second one makes him like an action superhero fucking thing, and it's really out there. And then this one just makes him a human being again with emotions, and it's mostly grounded in reality. Of course, it's not all grounded in reality. It's Mission Impossible, but most of it is. And the characters, the decisions, the relationships, they're all very realistic. There's nothing realistic about Mission Impossible 2. Nothing at all. Well, a little bit of the relationship between him and Thandie Newton is pretty good. But outside of that, every other fucking part of that movie is just, it's almost like a superhero movie, or like a, whatever. You know what I was, John Woo movie, as we had talked about before. And let's see. Jesus Christ, it's hot out here. I complain about that enough. And yeah, I mean, Ethan is really just desperate to get back to his mindset. He talks to Luther and he says, remember when you used to be sweet? And he was like, kind of, like barely, like I don't remember that. And he's like, that's what my wife makes me feel like. It reminds me of a time before all of this. And that's where he wants to get to. He wants to get back to being a human being. He doesn't want to be this machine anymore who just kills people and goes off on these missions and has no life of his own. Like, he's done with this shit. And then he marries her before he leaves on the second mission because she's like freaking out. Like, what the hell is going on? To prove to her, like, I love you. He takes her and he marries her right there. And they have these like really silly little rings. And their chemistry is fantastic. And then they have their little sex scene in the hospital, which I guess she works there. So she would be able to lock the place down and make sure no one came in on it. But you're risking your job, which makes it hot, right? But I just really liked that between them. I thought that their relationship, even though it wasn't fully fleshed out and we didn't get to see enough of it, I should say, like, we didn't get to see a lot of it. We did get to see just enough for me to care and genuinely give a shit when she's possibly about to die at the end. And you're like, okay, can he get her? Can he, like, I feel the love for her through him, and it makes me want her to live. The tech in this is awesome. I love the tech in this movie. I think it's all super, super cool. Nothing feels over the top absurd. Like, I just think it's just that right amount of cool Bond tech. So I love, God, as I said, I can't stop saying anything but good about this movie. And the chick, Maggie Q's character, she wears one hell of a sexy revealing outfit to the Vatican. I'm like, that's the outfit that you've picked for that? And then him sneaking in, running up the thing while the guy's out there and he's holding traffic back, and he comes over and he switches it and he puts a little thing down and he jumps down, he's in the outfit, and then they go in and they blows up the wall for him to get through, and then they come through and she like revs the engine just as it blows up, and then they get in there and they extract him, and then the car goes and they come up through and they bring him down and they blow it up, and it's all so fucking good. And like the tension of that scene where he has him in the bathroom and he knocks him out and he makes him read the little card and the guy's coming, and then he holds him against the door, and then he's like 30 more seconds for his like voice modulator thing to work, and the tension, the fuck, oh my god, it's so good. Fuck, this movie's good. I'm beating a dead horse. I'm beating a fucking dead horse right now. My brain's fried from this heat, guys. Let me tell you what. All right. Tom and Ving's chemistry, I already said that. We get to see the masks made finally, which of course begs the question, like, how the fuck did they make the masks in the second one? Even if the first one, but especially the second one, when he goes in and he makes a mask of that guy and has a mask of him and is able to switch them. And of course, we're not going to overthink that, but I love that we get to see the mask made. I like to see, like, they're out on the field and they take the pictures and it, like, scans it, how they had his hair and his eyebrows, exactly how it was, whatever. You just got to take some things with a grain of salt. I mean, this is a mask. I like when he puts it on and it, like, adheres to his face and you can see, like, it's slowly turning into Philip Seymour Hoffman. Awesome. Fucking awesome. That was just so cool to get to see. I'm sure they didn't have the technology to show us when the other movies were being made, but that looked so damn cool. And the I killed your friend. It was fun. That's a great line. Because he has him on the plane and he's interrogating him, and he tells him that he killed Keri Russell, and he's like, you know what I'm gonna do? Like, I'm gonna find the person you love and I'm gonna hurt you. He's so cold-blooded in this movie. And then he takes him, he throws him off the plane, and he's like hanging, and he's sitting there, and because he tells him like, I killed your friend, and that was just fun to me. Like, just to murder your friend was a blast. Damn, man, I love it. And then I like that when they're in the shootout, another incredible action sequence here. They're on the bridge and there's this huge shootout. There's a drone coming by and blowing it up. There's guys helicoptering in, and they have this awesome tech where they like shoot this foam all over the side of the car, and that like freezes the transportation truck or whatever that he's in, and then they just hit it with a sledgehammer and it breaks. And then they're running out, and Ethan's trying to jump, and he goes in the car, and before it blows up, gets the gun out, is running, jumping. The action scene reminds me a lot of True Lies, actually, in that moment. It's just so well done. Okay, I could have beat the dead horse, but I just thought that was so damn cool. And the I like when the guy comes up to grab the wife, and he just like puts a little sticker on her, and she's like, "What's that?" Blacks out. That's cool, man. Instead of just like sticking her with something or whatever, it's just like a little sticker, and he's just like, huh? And then I like that the lip reading is kind of explained in the beginning, and then he uses it later. And then he frees himself because Billy Crudup, it like gives him a little thing and lets him out. So I mean, he ends up obviously being the mole at the end, which I feel is fairly obvious, but not crazy obvious. Just kind of like, I think he might be. It's pretty simple to figure out for the most part, but not terrible. So he lets him out, he cuts himself loose, and there's this awesome fight scene in the elevator. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like Captain America Winter Soldier. Not as good. I mean, the Winter Soldier one's fucking fantastic, and this one's pretty good. But I like that. And then he gets out, and then they go, and then they find out they only have like 48 hours to get this rabbit's foot, which we never even find out what the rabbit's foot is, which is kind of cool, because it's like, do we really need to know? Do we need some huge elaborate explanation of it's a nuclear bomb and that blah, blah, blah? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, they know it's a bad thing. That's it. That's all we need to know. It's a bad thing. Go get it. Like, it really doesn't matter otherwise. And so he has to do this like huge, like another awesome action sequence. He has to jump from one building, swing around, and then drop down on the building. And he's like shooting guys as he's sliding. Yes, it's ridiculous, but come on, it's Mission Impossible. And then he grabs onto the side of the thing, and Ving is like a total naysayer through the whole thing. And then when he finally makes it, he's like, I knew he'd make it. Like, that comedy is so good. It's just quick little one-liners, but I thought it just works so damn well. And then he has to escape the building, so he like jumps out the window, and he gets out, and we go down, and he gets the rabbit's foot, and he goes and he has to meet the guys in the car, and then he gets in the car, and they're like, drink it, no questions, and then roll up the window. Like, they have what they need. Like, they didn't need... The only thing they needed at that point was to make sure what he gave them was legit. But he didn't know that, and drinking that, like, they could have already killed his wife, and he just drinks that, it's a poison, and boom, he's dead. Over. Like, that's what they could have done, because it was the right thing, what he gave them. And so if they could have just put poison, boom, movie over. But in his head, he had to just be like, this is the only way I can see my wife. So he had to drink something, not knowing what the fuck it was, could have killed him. Oh my God, to think about that's crazy to me. Then we move back to the opening scene, and it is a fake wife kill. We find out that it is his, assistant from earlier, who is the wife in Saw 3, which I thought was cool. I didn't even realize that till the end. I was looking at her, I was like, how do I know this girl? And it's like, oh yeah, the freaking doctor that takes care of John Kramer. Sorry if you haven't seen the Saw movies. What are you doing with your life? And then, yeah, Simon Pegg has some pretty funny moments there. because he's on the phone and he's just talking to him and he's like, no, like, you're gonna get me fired and I like my job and I don't want to go to jail. Maybe we can share a cell together and all that. I thought that dialogue was really funny. Ethan runs an entire mile and is even sort of winded when he gets there. Man, this guy's cardio is out of fucking control. They activate this charge in his head, Philip Seymour Hoffman does, and then starts beating the shit out of him because he's too messed up to even do anything about it, which I thought was a really smart way to have the main villain, who isn't a badass, be able to fight. It kind of evens the playing field for Ethan Hunt to fight this guy who really couldn't physically match him if it was one-on-one and Ethan was like, 100%. There's just no way. He would have destroyed Philip Seymour Hoffman. But because, he has a charge in his head, he can whoop on him. And then he kind of pulls himself out of it and pulls him outside and then sees the truck's coming, so he rolls him around and the truck takes him. Fucking awesome, man. Such a great way to dispatch the villain in this. So good, so good. And then he goes and he gives the girl the gun and he tries to explain for her to use it, and it's almost like he's retraining Keri Russell in like 2 seconds. And he's like, the only way to save my life is to kill me or something. Wait, that's another really good line. I think I wrote it down right here, didn't I? I'll die unless you kill me. I think that's what he says. I thought that was just great. So, she just boom, and he has the stuff in his mouth, which actually I thought was really cool to put the popsicle sticks in his mouth. It just shows added effect of like how much jolt there was to it. Snaps it, and he's just immediately dead in like 1 second. And then she has to like fight these guys, and she takes out an IMF agent on her own, like Billy Crudup's character. It's like, wow, this chick is a natural or beginner's luck. Shoots him, and then brings him back to life. And then they go back and they take it, and Lawrence Fishburne tells him, like, you can't, I'll tell you what the rabbit's foot is if you stay here. And he's like, nope. And they leave, and it's like this super happy ending. And Ving Rhames is in the background like, yeah! And he's like laughing, and it's such a sweet, nice conclusion. And then we move on to 4.